So here it is, the first point of the 23 points of the countdown to 2023. Let's get started right away with the recency bias induced commentary on the World Cup. I could have waited for a few more days. I'm recording this episode just before the quarterfinals. And of course, a lot is yet to unfold. But yes, I can't wait. There's so much action and excitement happening that it already deserves, even at the knockout first round stage, a rightful place in the countdown to 2023 as one of the most historic things that's happened in the current year. So, what's historic about it? Four or five things that come to mind immediately. But speaking of history, let me take you back into history to 1982 edition of the World Cup, when it was the first time that I actually started watching or becoming aware of the FIFA World Cup. That was a year when Italy won the World Cup. Incidentally, 2 years ago, Italy also won the Euro 2020, which is probably one of the biggest footballing events in the world apart from the World Cup. Now, talking about a country like Italy, which is obviously in the top 10 footballing nations of the world currently and has one of the most illustrious histories in the World Cup, did not even qualify for the FIFA World Cup. Now, that's surprising, isn't it? It's not very often that you find countries with the histories such as Brazil, Germany, Italy, etc., not even qualifying for the World Cup. And that just goes to show you how competitive the world is. And what I'll do also along the side, for those who may not be as much interested in football, is to draw some lessons out of it, which we can apply in our day to day lives. The lesson for us is that competition has become so intense that we cannot rest on our laurels and history. We need to keep performing even if we were on the top of the world a couple of years ago or a couple of quarters ago, or whatever may be the context in your case. So that was the first point about the FIFA World Cup, which was news breaking even before the World Cup had started, with Italy getting knocked out. The second point brings me to the number two footballing country of the world, which is Belgium, as per the FIFA World Rankings released just before the World Cup. What is it about Belgium? They got knocked out in the first round itself, and that was a shocker. Nobody expected it. So it's more of the same thing, and they got knocked out by guess who? By Morocco, a country which incidentally in 2022 is ranked number 22. So that's quite a play of numbers, right? The second ranked team in the year 2022, the 22nd ranked team knocking out the number two team. So if that's too much for you, let's move forward. Now, the third point brings me to the biggest story of this World Cup, which is Japan. Not for the reasons you think they should be in the headlines. The 24th ranked team in the world gets slotted in a group which has Spain and Germany. Germany, of course, along with Brazil, are one of the most successful teams in the history of World Cups. They're not bad ranking either. They're probably 10th or 11th in the world. And along with that was Spain, one of the topmost footballing nations in the world, and on current form, doing very well too. In such a group, nobody gave Japan a chance. But guess what? They beat Spain, they beat Germany, they beat both of these teams, topped the group, which was a near impossibility if you were a betting person and you would have bet even a tiniest fraction on Japan topping the group. You would have been, making your millions or billions by now. But anywho, the point is that Japan made such tremendous achievements in this World Cup, but that did not make headlines. Guess what made the headlines? The fact that the behavior of the Japanese fans and the love for cleanliness, the fact that their fans stayed beyond the matches, even of other teams, and cleaned up the stadium because that's what their culture taught them, to leave a place clean so that others could enjoy the benefit of the place. And that was an absolutely heartwarming gesture. People who know anything about Japanese culture know that this is not an aberration. This is something that Japanese are used to. The fact that they are cleanliness ninjas is not a secret for anybody who knows anything about Japan. But the way they demonstrated it on the world stage, especially at a time when football fans are typically known for their rowdy behavior, this was a refreshing and welcome change. So, what's the point here from point number three? The point is that, as in football, as also in life, it's not so much about your achievements which catch the attention of the world. They do not make headlines, they do not make lasting memories in the eyes of people. It is your behavior, it is your culture, it is your values that you demonstrate on the field, off the field, in life, in corporates, whatever may be your context. It's these things that make the news, make everlasting memories and impressions on people, and help bring changes in the world. It's not about your achievements, no matter whether you're beating Spain and Germany, that's not newsworthy. Similarly, if in a corporate context, you're overachieving your targets, you are adding to shareholder value, you are helping build the next unicorn, that's not what's going to make headlines. Even if it does, it's only going to be ephemeral, temporary. What's going to be everlasting is the impression and the footprint that you leave behind with your behavior, the culture and values that you demonstrate, and hopefully pass on by your demonstrated behavior. So that is really what is newsworthy, and a big, big lesson to be taken from Japan's performance on field as well as off field during the World Cup. The real heroes are the everyday people of Japan, the culture of Japan, and not as much the great footballers and the great team. So let's move on to the next team and the next point, which is point number 4. And we are talking about none other than CR7, as Cristiano Ronaldo, the captain of Portugal, is known. But what? Is he the captain? Is he not? Is he on the bench? Is he off the bench? There's a lot of controversy around it. Portugal made headlines again for beating Switzerland 6-1. That's a massive scoreline, especially at a knockout stage. At least I don't remember. I've been following FIFA World Cups for like 40 years now, and I don't remember last time when a knockout stage yielded such a result. Maybe when Brazil got thrashed by Germany, that was, something of the stuff of nightmares or dreams. I mean, depending on which side of the border you are on. But other than that, I do not remember a match where at the knockout stage a team got thrashed or a team won in such a lopsided battle. But again, the news was not about Portugal beating Switzerland 6-1 in a knockout stage. It wasn't also as much about a person, Ramos, who scored a hat trick in that game. That was newsworthy, all right. But what really caught the headlines was that Ronaldo, the illustrious captain of Portugal, was actually benched during that match. Despite that, the Portuguese gave such a brilliant performance, and Ramos is already being labeled as the next superstar and being compared to the likes of Messi. So again, the same thing that we spoke about Italy as a team, when it comes to Cristiano Ronaldo, shelf life of players or anybody for that matter is limited, and one needs to be cognizant of that. What happens in a lot of these cases, particularly in sports, but also in the case of our corporate lives, in our careers, the rise to the top is gradual. You're slowly rising to the top and you stay there for some time. But the fall from the top is sudden. It's a precipice, and you don't know when you are out of the limelight. And it is a very, very difficult transition for most people, particularly those who are celebrities, who are used to public life and adulation. It becomes a big, big challenge. As we've seen in the last 2 years, it's taken a toll on celebrities, particularly in the pandemic when people were off limelight, and direct interaction with the public, with the fans, etc., was totally off the cards. It led to severe mental health issues, depression tendencies, suicidal tendencies. What one needs to realize, as again we are looking at a new year very shortly, point and the learning from this is that you need to prepare for that eventual transition to the next phase of your life or your journey, whatever may be your context. It may not happen this year, it may not happen in the next few years, but the point is that you need to be mentally prepared and you need to start taking actions on those fronts right away. Switching back to a little bit of a corporate context, I did a wonderful episode with Natarajan and Jandaiya in season 1 of Unleash with FTM, which is Unleash with From the Expert's Mouth, the platform that we run. And he mentioned a beautiful thing. He said, it's not a question of if you're going to leave a job and going to be doing something on your own. Ultimately, post retirement, everybody is going to be doing something or the other on their own. It's not that people retire from life, they only retire from work. So this is something that in his 40s he was very much preparing for, and even executed on his plans, knowing fully well that he could have continued in a corporate job in the comfort and security of a corporate career and the monthly paycheck, etc., etc. But he chose the more difficult path of learning and enhancing and upgrading his skills and making the uncomfortable and difficult transition to becoming an independent professional. Why? Because that is something he eventually had to do. Doing it at 60 would have been much more difficult, but doing it in the 40s is far, far easier. as compared to doing it 20 years down the line. That was a great learning, and there are many more such nuggets of wisdom from that episode, Learning is Life, as well as episodes that I've done with a lot of other guests who shared their wisdom and shared their true selves in a very, very authentic manner in this talk show, Unleash with FTEM. I'll drop the links in the description so that you can take a look. Season 2, of course, is going to be coming up in 2023. Watch out for that as well. You can subscribe to the channel, both this channel as well as from the expert's mouth, and make sure that you do not miss anything valuable. We spoke about Portugal and Cristiano Ronaldo and the controversies surrounding it. From one controversy to another, the FIFA World Cup happening in Qatar is in itself a controversial point for many. I'll not get into which side of the arguments are true or not, but suffice it to say that this is a controversy which has led to a lot of fires being lit. And talking about lighting, one of the things that has caught the fancy of the world in 22 is also gaslighting. What's gaslighting? Something that Qatar is allegedly doing. In order to understand this more, you got to wait for episode 2 of this countdown to 23. Just hold on with bated breath for the second episode, where we talk a little bit about the word of the year, gaslighting, and more. Until then, goodbye, and be sure to subscribe to this channel, as also from the expert's mouth, because you don't want to miss out on the 23 countdown steps to the next year.